The retro craze is alive and well at Omega, and here at SwissWatchExpo, we've got the Globemaster annual calendar coming up. Over at Omega, they really know what they're doing, don't they? They've taken a watch that came out originally in 1952, the Omega Constellation. At that time, it was an observatory chronometer. And they don't let us forget that. They put right on the dial a little star, which is applied to the dial. Great reminder of what the watch's heritage is. And then when we look at the movement on the backside, it is an exhibition movement, exhibition case back, but we have the observatory, the Constellation logo with the starry sky behind it, just to remind you. But this is such a cool modern interpretation of that history. The dial itself is a pie pan dial like it would have had in the 1950s, where the edges slope down away from the rest of the flat part of the middle of the dial. Love that touch. You only see it really on vintagey sort of watches. But it's in a case that's a lot more modern. The case really sort of harkens back to a lot of the 1970s designs from Omega. It is brushed on the sides. It has this beautiful high polished bevel edge. But the case shape, it's not really so much round as much as it's kind of a tonneau shape. The lugs are very pronounced. It's really pretty. I love the way they did the satin finish and the high polish edge. But one of the most striking features is the bezel. The bezel on this one, it's not really fluted like you'd see on a Rolex. It's more of a coin sort of bezel, and it just has a great look. It really just, to me, this one stands out as pure Omega through and through. It's not like they're trying to imitate something else from some other company. It's really their own brand DNA, and I absolutely love it. Now, the movement on this watch, it's an annual calendar. What that means is that it knows what month it is, and it knows which months have 30 days and which have 31. You have to adjust it one time a year on March 1st. So that's why the name is annual calendar as opposed to the perpetual calendar, which knows which cycle of the leap year we're in and adjusts accordingly. But this is the annual calendar. It's one of my favorite movements. The way you read this, it has an extra arrow hand. Conveniently, there are 12 spaces between the hour markers and 12 months out of the year. So they've labeled each one with 1 month of the year. And we have another hand here pointing to the month. That way you can tell exactly with a glance exactly which one it's set to, and it'll adjust the date for you automatically. So the date is in an aperture at 3 o'clock. Really good looking. By the way, sapphire crystal, great lume. It glows bright at night. So it's got some sort of sport watch features. It is water resistant, and it really... I've talked about this before. One of my favorite things about the modern Omega movements is that they've removed a lot of the frustrations people have had in the past with mechanical automatic movements. It is MEDAS certified master chronometer, which means that not only did it go through the tests that you would normally get from the COSC for a certified chronometer, so it's accurate within a certain accuracy level at 5 different positions at the COSC, 6 different positions at MEDAS. But they also test a lot of things that have to do with the real day-to-day livability of the watch. They test the winding efficiency. They test the power reserve. This one is 60 hours because it's a double barrel mainspring. They test the magnetic resistance. This one's resistant to 15,000 Gauss. To put that in perspective, the Rolex Milgauss, when it came out, it was a big thing that it was resistant to 1,000 Gauss. So this is 15,000 Gauss. It'll resist almost any magnetic field that you could expose it to. They also test things like shock resistance, water resistance, of course, all the timekeeping and those sorts of things. So to me, the MEDAS certification is really one of the greatest things that has come out lately. They test it with it cased up. So it's with the movement in the watch. So it's the way the customer is actually going to receive the watch. The strap on this one is really nice. It's, of course, the large grain alligator. It has a single folding deployant buckle with no keepers and no holes. Love that. And the exhibition case back where you can see that movement. Again, it's double barrel, which means it has 2 mainsprings that'll run more reliably and more consistently from fully wound to almost unwound than a regular watch with just 1 mainspring would do. But I love this model. It has a green dial. that is all the rage right now. It certainly goes great with just about anything you might wear it with. I think that the green is, it's not a bright, obvious green like, say, a Rolex Hulk, but it is a much more subtle sort of fall-looking green color that's a little bit more muted and really more wearable with just about anything. Now, give us a call here at Swiss Watch Expo. Send us an email, info@SwissWatchExpo.com. We'll be happy to talk to you about this watch. We can do a FaceTime call, show it to you on the wrist. It's a 41 millimeter watch, but don't let that scare you. It wears really, really well, and we'll be happy to show it to you on the wrist and go over all the details.